So I'm going to do this little brain surgery. I told you it wasn't going to hurt, but I want to talk about the 3 different parts of the brain. So the first part is called the neocortex. The second part is called the limbic brain, and then we have the reptilian brain. Let me tell you a little bit about each part. So the neocortex is the smart part of the brain. The smart part of the brain controls everything that has to do with rationalization, analyzing things, language. It's the only part of the brain that's conscious. What does that mean? That means we can control it. Supposedly right now, your smart brain, your neocortex, is listening to me, and my neocortex is producing words. Then we have the limbic brain. It's also called the emotional brain. The emotional brain creates, produces, it's a biochemical chain reaction, produces all of your emotion. It also regulates our temperature. So have you noticed sometimes when you get angry, what happens to your body? Usually your temperature goes up. And when we're depressed or when we're frustrated, sometimes our temperature changes and we're cold. When we're worried, we get cold. So the emotional brain controls our emotions and our temperature. Now, the tricky part with that part of the brain is that it's right below the consciousness. What does that mean? It means we can't control it. If somebody tells you that you can change your emotions, you can tell them that it is not biochemically possible. Now, we can control or change our behavior once we feel something. But actually, emotions are biochemical chain reactions. They happen automatically. Last but not least, we have the reptilian brain. And the reptilian brain is that fight, flight, or freeze. I'm sure you've heard about this in the past. So the fight, flight, or freeze is really deeply embedded in our unconscious. We can't really control it. It comes up instinctively. Somebody says something, you meet somebody, and it will react. So when the fight, flight, or freeze is engaged, we're going to have a hard time executing on our goals. It doesn't really matter if the goals seem rational. If we're afraid or something doesn't line up, we're going to either fight, we're going to run away, or we're going to freeze. How many of you have children? Okay, a few of you. How about young children? Or do you remember when they were little? What happened when you said to them, honey, I want you to go to bed? They usually had a hissy fit, right? Why is that? Because in their world, their limbic, their emotional brain got triggered, and also their reptilian. Their day was over. That seemed a negative experience, a negative thing to them. And so they put up a fuss. Now, what do we usually do as parents? We try to rationalize with them why it's time for them to go to bed. We fail to recognize that it's really their emotional and their reptilian, their survival brain that is engaged. So what we need to do is we really need to address that. So the goal here is to get all 3 parts of the brain in alignment. When all 3 parts of the brain are in alignment, it's going to be that much easier for me to accomplish my goals. I have my smart brain saying yes, I have my emotional brain saying yes, and I have my survival brain saying yes. That is the best way for me to accomplish something. Thank you so much for coming up. I really appreciate it. Let me tell you a few more things about the brain. There's a fellow named Randy Flanagan. He's a professor at the Center for Neuroscience in Canada. And here's a quote from him. Humans are not particularly fast, we're not particularly strong, and we receive sensations about the world with considerable delay.